Once upon a time, in a great African kingdom, there was a king named Osai. King Osai was known far and wide for his wealth and power. His palace was made of the finest stones, adorned with gold and precious gems. The people of his kingdom admired him, but over time, King Osai became very proud. He believed that because he was the king, he was the wisest and most important person in the entire land. One day, King Osei sat on his grand throne and called for his advisors. "I am the greatest king there has ever been," he declared. "I want everyone in the kingdom to know how wise and powerful I am. Who can come up with a plan to show the world that no one is as great as me?" The advisors were silent, afraid to speak. They all knew how proud the king had become, and they feared that if they suggested anything he didn't like, he would be angry. But in the corner of the room, there stood one of his advisors, an old woman named Amma. Amma was not wealthy or powerful, but she was known for her wisdom. She stepped forward and bowed low before the king. "My king," Amma said softly, "if you truly wish to show the world your greatness, then you must go on a journey to seek the most precious treasure in the world. Only then will your name be remembered forever." King Osai's eyes lit up. "The most precious treasure in the world?" he repeated. What is this treasure? And where can I find it?" Amma smiled and said, "The treasure you seek lies at the heart of the enchanted forest, in a place where no man has ever gone before. But to reach it, you must travel alone, without your guards, your riches, or your crown." The king frowned. "Why must I travel alone, and without my riches?" he asked. "The journey will teach you the true meaning of greatness," Amma replied. "Only when you reach the heart of the enchanted forest will you understand what the most precious treasure truly is." Though the king was unsure, his pride would not let him back down. He agreed to the journey and set out the next day, leaving behind his palace and all his luxuries. The journey was long and difficult. King Osei walked for many days through the scorching sun and cold nights. He crossed rivers, climbed steep hills, and passed through small villages. Along the way, he met many people who were kind to him, offering him food and shelter, even though they did not know he was a king. As he traveled, the king began to see how hard life was for many of his people. He saw the struggles of the farmers, the strength of the builders, and the wisdom of the elders. He realized that his wealth and power had made him blind to the true challenges his people faced. Finally, after many weeks, King Osei reached the enchanted forest. He was tired and his clothes were torn, but he was determined to find the treasure. He began to walk to its heart, each step harder than the last. When he reached it, he found an enchanted tree with a message carved into it. "The greatest treasure is not gold or jewels, but the love and respect of your people. True greatness comes from humility, kindness, and wisdom." King Osei sat down and thought about the message. He realized that in his pride, he had forgotten what it meant to be a good king. He had focused so much on his own importance that he had lost sight of what truly mattered, caring for his people and being a leader they could look up to. With this newfound understanding, King Osei made his way back to the kingdom. When he returned, he was greeted with joy and celebration. But the king was different now. He no longer wore his crown with arrogance. Instead, he ruled with kindness, wisdom, and humility, always remembering the lesson he had learned in the enchanted forest. From that day on, King Osei was loved by all his people, not because of his wealth or power, but because of his generous heart and his care for those he ruled. The kingdom flourished under his wise and humble leadership, and his name was remembered forever, not as the proud king, but as the wise and kind ruler who learned the true meaning of greatness. And so, the story of King Ase teaches us all that true greatness is found not in pride, but in humility and in serving others with a generous heart.